We are in the midst of a man-made, worldwide climate emergency. And who's to blame? Experts, scientists, politicians, actors, activists, all of these leaders tell you that you have to reduce your negative impact on the planet. But for the majority of these leaders, the man-made changing climate is not an emergency, and they've left the evidence in plain sight.
Kiss me, kiss me, infect me with your love and fill me with your poison. Take me, take me, wanna be a victim, ready for action. You're an alien, your touch is alien. It's supernatural, extraterrestrial.
When you observe what these so-called leaders are doing, it's quite evident that neither climate change nor sincerity are a top priority for them. In fact, quite the opposite is apparent. They are more than happy to tell you and everyone else to drive less, eat bugs, use less water, and, in general, reduce consumption. All the while, they fly everywhere, eat at exorbitantly fancy restaurants, buy designer clothes, have multiple cars, a lot of which are massive gas guzzlers, and multiple houses, go on vacation constantly, and the list goes on. It's almost like they want us to lead the charge because they don't want to have to compromise in life. They don't want to have to refrain from sparing no expense. They want all of the comfortable, soft, luscious, decadent, indulgent things the world has to offer. These people are not leaders. They are virtue signalers. They'll do anything they need to do, well, anything besides giving up their extravagant lifestyles, to convince you that they're convinced that man-made climate change is a planetary life and death emergency. You'd think that if man-made climate change was the greatest existential threat to the planet and mankind, they'd be at the tip of the spear. They'd live like tomorrow depended on it. After all, we can look back throughout history and observe what great leaders who truly believed in what they preached did. Simon Peter left everything to follow Jesus, became the rock, the first pope of the church, and was ultimately crucified upside down for his faith. Joan of Arc led the French in multiple victories over English occupiers, was wounded multiple times in battle, was a prisoner of war, and was ultimately burned at the stake for obeying the will of God. George Washington fought alongside his fellow Americans and led them to victory over British tyranny, and then became the first president of the United States. Abraham Lincoln led the charge to free the slaves and keep the United States together and was killed for his efforts. Winston Churchill served in the British Army in World War I and then was the chief reason the Nazis were defeated in World War II. Mother Teresa founded and served as a missionary of charity, ministering to those destitute and dying in the slums of Calcutta, India. Are the leaders of today's movement to save humanity from itself and preserve the planet anything like these true leaders? No. They're not at the tip of the spear. They're not taking all extreme measures they themselves can take. Joe Biden could halt all, unless completely necessary, federal agency travel. He could only have meetings with world leaders over the internet. Climate change leaders could refrain from traveling to bougie climate change get-togethers. Barack Obama could refuse to invite people to his birthday parties. Bill Gates, Leonardo DiCaprio, John Kerry, Michael Bloomberg, they could all stop flying so much. All of these leaders could reduce their travel, especially considering transportation makes up the largest share of greenhouse gas emissions. But frequency as well as mode of transportation is not the only lifestyle choice they could alter. They could also buy less goods, use less electricity, own less homes, and eat less meat. But let's be honest about these leaders. They don't care about the climate. And setting a good example, what's that? They don't even believe that man-made climate change is something that they themselves should have to worry about. It's blatantly obvious. They want you and me to make all the sacrifices they're unwilling to make in order to save our planet. Because, after all, the true cause of this man-made, worldwide climate change emergency is you.
Kiss me, kiss me,